Clause B of National Investigation Agency 2008. Now the council would like to begin while discussing the facts of the case, Your Honor. On February 25th, 2015, two persons named Samir and Monu reached New Delhi station from a Malda town, West Bengal through a Faraka Express number 13413. However, one day prior, a Guddu Singh, a shopkeeper, informed the police station regarding Samir and Monu for the possession of fake Indian currency notes in heavy amount. Keeping this information, police arrested both of them on the very next day when train reached the platform. On interrogation, police found that there are more people, namely Kalu Mama, Peter, Sohail, included in this activity. They were planning for waging war by a bomb blast at army convoy in Pulwama on August 15, 2015, which means death of hundreds of people. After detailed investigation, when the cell became suspicious of involvement of terrorist activities, the case was transferred to the National Investigation Agency. Now the council would like to begin with the issue number one, as the lordship is well versed with the facts by now. The issue first is regarding criminal conspiracy for the possession and using of fake Indian currency notes, Your Honor. The council humbly submitted that all accused are liable under section 120B, that is punishment for criminal conspiracy, 489B using of counterfeit currency notes, and 489C of possession of counterfeit currency notes of Indian Penal Code 1860. Our first sub-issue is regarding the offense of criminal conspiracy. For the liability of criminal conspiracy, they have to fall under the main essential ingredients. Our first essential ingredient under the liability of criminal conspiracy is two or more persons, not one, not two, but there are a total of five people are included in this activity, namely Samir, Monu, Kalumama, Peter, and Sohail. Our second essential ingredient is an agreement to commit an offense. Conspiracy is a continuing offense, and whoever is a part to it, it will be liable for the offense. It is not necessary that conspirators of the agreement should be a participant from the start to finish. Present now. As you may refer the page 10, para 1 of the memorial, the Raghubir Singh versus State of Bihar, or you may also refer the compendium. Is it showing? It is not necessary that conspirators of the agreement should be a participant from start to finish. They can appear in any stage and perform the action. In reference to the exhibit 17.10, Samir and Monu have done the activity of circulating fake Indian currency from the Malda town to New Delhi. However, police arrested them in mid of their activity, but they are taking it to the further destination point, that is Pulwama. However, the council would like to refer the statement of accused one, that is Samir, in Exhibit 7, which states that Kalu Mama and Peter has played a role of main conspirators who have given the project to Samir and Monu by carrying the big bags of heavy amount of FICN for smuggling. My third essential agreement about the liability of criminal conspiracy is the conspirators, that they can be a co-participants and must know the end goal of criminal conspiracy by doing the activity in the chain of actions. With reference to the exhibit 17.14, 17.15, 17.25, that states that regarding all division of actions by accused from the possession of fake Indian currency notes from Malda town to bomb blast at army convoy on 15th August, as such they knew the real end of the conspiracy. Present now. Yashpal, Yashpal Mittal versus State of Punjab, or you may also refer page 12, para 3 of the memorial. As the bench can see that the offense of criminal conspiracy has an ingredient of agreement, concert, and league. It is not necessary that all conspirators must know each and every other detail of the conspiracy as long as they are conspirators in the main object of conspiracy. There may be so many devices and techniques adopted to achieve the common goal of the conspiracy, and there may be division of performances in the chain of actions with one objective, that is to achieve the real end of which every collaborator must be aware and which each one of them must be interested. There must be a unity of object or purpose, but there may be a plurality of means, sometimes even unknown to each other. Hence, the Council humbly submits before the Honorable Court that accused are liable for the offence of criminal conspiracy under Section 120B of Indian Penal Code 1860. Your Honor, the Council would like to begin with the second and third sub-issue, where that is regarding the offence of possession and using of fake Indian currency notes. Before imposing the liability, the report of regarding quality of currency notes is mandated. Before, the Council would like to refer the statement of Akash Singh, Sub-Inspector in Para 2, page 13 of Memorial, that read with Exhibit 17.9, which states that seized currency notes are fake Indian currency notes and appear to be of high quality. In reference to the seizure of fake Indian currency notes from Samir and Monu under Annexure F and H respectively, they even kept the notes in a cloth plunder in a secret cavity of the bag, which shows the intention of doing agreement secretly by knowing and reason to believe that notes are fake Indian currency notes. For the liability of Section 489B of Indian Penal Code, there are some essential ingredients. First, that is one knew or had reason to believe that the note kept in his possession was forged. Second, his intention was to use it as a genuine. With the reference, as the Council would like to refer the statement of Rupinder Singh, Superintendent of Police in Exhibit 6, read with Exhibit 17.10 in the para 16, in the para 1 of page 16. Samir and others have a reason to believe that the note kept in the possession was forged. Under the second ingredient, they acted being a gang to commit the offense of circulating, purchasing, and transporting fake Indian currency notes from one place to another. Hence, the Council humbly submits that the accused Kalumama, Samir, and Monu are liable under Section 120B, 489B, and 489C of Indian Penal Code 1860. Any questions? Or should I forward to the co-counsel?
Let the other counsel proceed.
Warm greetings, Your Honor.
Yes, yes.
The council would seek permission to proceed further with issue 2 and issue 3.
Yes.
Much obliged, Your Honor. The issue 2, I would like to start from issue 2. That the first issue is whether the accused are liable for waging war against the government under Section 121 and Section 123 of IPC or not. Sub issue 2.1, which is as the accused is liable for waging war against the state. Your Honor, the council would humbly like to submit that the accused is guilty of waging war against the government of India under Section 121 of the IPC, which states that whoever wages war against the government of India or attempts or abates to wage war shall be punished with death or imprisonment for life, or shall also be liable to from fine During the investigation of accused 1 and 2, it was found that fake Indian currency note was to be delivered to Pulwama, Jammu Kashmir for conducting a bomb blast on Indian Army convoy on a prestigious Independence Day. Your Honor, the Council would like to refer the judgment of Kuni Kadir versus King Emperor in para 2 of page number 17, which states that any person is said to have guilty of waging war against the government of India or even attempts to wage war or abets such war, or when he or she is taking part in an organized attack and the object of attack is to subvert the government of India and the establishment of another in its place, have said to commit the offense of waging war. Your Honor, the sub issue 2.2 is that whether the organization to protest against the government of India was correct or not. The intention of waging war was also clear from the statement recorded by the accused, which acknowledged the relation between Peter, Sohail, and Kalu Mama, that they were working for an organization who protested against the democratically elected government of India, which also raises the doubt over the resentful attitude towards the Indian government. The ill intentions of the accused escalated from the point when the government came to know that the organization's plan of sensitizing innocent people against the government in the guise of malpractice by the governments, after which the government imposed this action on the organization. Accused number 2 disclosed the involvement of other accused, further revealing the names like Kalu Mama, who had received instruction from Pakistan and Bangladesh with a blast code that दुल्हन को सजाने का वक्त आ गया है. As soon as FICNs received to Pulwama to Sohail, which makes even the case more suspicious. Sub issue 2.3 is H, that concealment of design to wage war. Your Honor, it is pertinent to mention that other than the possession of FICN, the accused are also guilty of concealing with intent to facilitating design to wage war, that against the government of India under section 123 of IPC, by concealing the fact that they were smuggling counterfeit currency notes. In the criminal justice system, we can say that the offense of waging war against the government is the most grave and dangerous offense. So, irrespective of distinction between principal and accessory offender, everyone who participates in the criminal conspiracy against the state incurs the same guilt. Further, during the oral examination, accused 1 and 2 stated that the plan was to deliver the FICN to Pulwama, Jammu Kashmir, and further to execute the bomb blast, which clearly and blatantly shows their intention that they were thinking to resist the truth and to create fear in mind of people until their leaders succeed in obtaining the possession of machinery of government of India. Your Honor, the Council would like to refer the case of NCT Delhi versus Navjot Sandhu, in which it was said that the accused has knowledge of conspiracy and plans of terrorist act to attack Parliament House in illegal omission to apprise police or magistrate of the design of conspirated, which is an act of waging war, which would make liable the under offense of section 123 of IPC, that the fact and the charges was framed against him under section 123 would not be prejudice him because charge of waging war and other allied of offenses are subject matter of charges. Further, sub issue 2.4 are as whether accused is liable under section 201 of IPC or not. Your Honor, Kalu Mama is also liable for destroying evidence under section 201 of IPC, which states that whoever knowing or having reason to believe that an offense has been committed causes any evidence of the commission of that offense to disappear with the intention of screening the offender from legal punishment or gives any information regarding the offense which he knows or believes to be false shall be punished with imprisonment. So as per clause 17.28 of the problem, the NIA carried out an investigation in the house of Sohail, but incriminating substance wasn't recovered from Kalu Mama, as Kalu Mama has destroyed the evidence with intention to screen the offenders. Your Honor, Council would further like to proceed to issue number 3, which is whether the accused are liable for involvement in terrorist act under section 16, 17, 18 and 20 of Unlawful Activities Prevention Act 1967. First issue, sub issue is that the accused are liable for getting punishment under section 16 or not. Your Honor, the counsel would humbly submit that the accused has been tried by NIA court for the charges framed under Section 16 of UAPA, and they are also liable for the punishment of Terrorist Act. Terrorist Act as per Section 15 has been defined as whoever does any act with intent to threaten or likely to threaten the unity, integrity, security, sovereignty of India with intent to strike terror in any section of people of India by causing any damage to monetary stability of India or by way of production or smuggling of circulation of high quality counterfeit notes commits a terrorist activity. Your Honor, further, sub-issue 3.2 states that the accused are also liable to be convicted for raising funds under Section 17 of UAPA. That says that whoever directly or indirectly raises or provides funds or collect it from legitimate or illegitimate source to provide to any person, knowing that such funds are likely to be used as terrorist organizations or by a terrorist gang or by an individual terrorist to commit a terrorist act that shall, and then the such a person shall be liable with an imprisonment of a term which shall not be less than 5 years. Further, it clarifies that criminal liability will be imposed on a person irrespective of a fact as to whether the fund was actually used or not for the commission of terrorist act. The counsel would like to refer the case of Redol Hussain Khan versus National Investigation Agency, in which it was mentioned that the accused is liable for raising fund for terrorist activity. By raising fund for terrorist activity, the accused has committed the mischief as described under the aforementioned section, and they must be convicted for it. Your Honor, as per clause 16.4, the CFSL, after the export examination of currencies, declared that the seized FICNs were of high quality, and the accused were illegally smuggling the FICN, which were traced from the circumstances that they were being carried to be used for a terrorist activity. As per the statement of accused, it was also clear that the involvement of foreign force are also there, as they were receiving funds from Pakistan and Bangladesh. Their call records also shows that they have malified intention and hatred toward the governments. Sub-issue 3.3 states that whether the accused should be liable under Section 18, that is, charges in the offense relating to conspiracy or not. Section 18 makes not only the person who conspires or attempts to commit or advocate or advise commission of a terrorist act, but also when the person concerned incites, directs, or knowingly facilitates the commission of a terrorist act preparatory to the commission of a terrorist act, meaning thereby that a person would fall within the ambit of Section 18 if he directs an act which would facilitate not only the commission of terrorist act but also an act which is preparatory to the commission of terrorist act. The ambit of Section 18 has been widened, and if the materials on record give rise to a reasonable ground to believe that an accused prima facie had the knowledge that his acts or omission would facilitate a terrorist act, he is surely liable under punishment under Section 18 of UAPA, which was mentioned in Abdul Aziz PV versus National Investigation Agency. Accordingly, the subtle feature of Section 18 of UAPA Act, as discussed here before, is that it not only penalizes conspiracy to commit terrorist act, but also those acts which facilitates the commission of terrorist act, or even an act which is preparatory to the commission of terrorist act. Your Honor, last sub-issue is that the accused are to be convicted for being member of terrorist gang under Section 20 or not. A terrorist gang, according to Section 2.1 of UAPA, says that any organization other than terrorist organization who are systematically or otherwise connected with or involved in terrorist act is under the ambit of terrorist gang. The activities like threatening the security of sovereignty of India, along with attacking the army convoy by the members of terrorist gang in order to strike terror, falls within the ambit of terrorist act, which has been previously mentioned in Section 15. Furthermore, those who associate and aid the activities of an organization when the organization is involved in carrying out the terrorist activity against the unity, integrity, sovereignty, and security such person will also be liable to same extent. Since the organization in the last light of materials available on record must be regarded at this stage as a terrorist gang, which is involved in a terrorist act. Hence, the terrorist gang would fall within the provision of section 20 and would be liable to suffer imprisonment for life. As the offenses under section 20 falls within the chapter 4, the provision which has been mentioned in section 43 d subclause 5 disempowers the special court from releasing the accused on bail, and such a person and a member of terrorist gang who has been involved in the terrorist acts.
Mr. Consul, from the prosecution, can you answer me? What is incriminating evidence against the accused that he has knowledge that he is counterfeit coin and having reason to believe that it has counterfeit coin? Second question. What is incriminating evidence that accused has destroyed the evidence, and what is mode of destroying the evidence which has been kept in his possession?
Sir, as the counsel seeks pardon.
Yes, proceed.
The counsel. Sir, the Samir and Monu, they kept the fake Indian currency notes in the cloth pulanda in a secret cavity of their bag. As such, it can be said that they have the intention and believe that they are carrying the fake Indian currency notes, and they want to kept it secretly and want to transport from the Malda town and carrying to the destination point, that is Pulwama. And under the offense of disappearance of evidence, the Kalumama is the one who acted as a uh, conspirator who uh, disappeared the evidence. As such, the 201 of IPC says that
Proceed.
it says that whoever knowing or having reason to believe that an offense has been committed causes any evidence of the commission of that offense to disappear with the intention of screening the offender from legal punishment. As such, when National Investigation Agency officers reached the house of Kalu Mama, they found no evidence there. As such, Kalu Mama has already disappeared the evidence from there.
The counsels for prosecution. I have a question from you as to what is the evidence against Kalu Mama. Nothing has been recovered. No incriminating evidence except for some phone which shows some chat, some telephone calls between the Kalu Mama and the other accused persons. And except for a confession by the other two accused, there is no evidence against Kalu Mama. So how do you intend to prosecute Kalu Mama in this and hold him guilty?
Your Honor, Kalu Mama was convicted for two main sections. First of the which was section 201, and another one was the involvement in terrorist activity. First was section 201, in which the evidence was like the evidence recorded from Saruk Khan. One of the evidence. Wait a minute. In fact number 17.28, a witness named Saruk Khan has been mentioned, who has stated that the evidences present in Sohel's house was incriminated by Kalu Mama. First up, the evidence were like that, and the second one, that the involvement in terrorist gang.
I asked you about the evidence against Kalu Mama. To me, there appears to be no evidence. A confessional statement of another co-accused is a very weak piece of evidence. And you have not been able to specify as to what evidence was destroyed by Kalu Mama. You are alleging that the evidence was destroyed by Kalu Mama, but what was destroyed? You have to inform that. So this allegation can be made against anybody that you have destroyed evidence. But if you look at the other side of the coin, if a person is innocent, you cannot recover any evidence from an innocent person. So what evidence are you saying which has been destroyed by Kalu Mama? Was he printing the FICNs? Was he keeping an account? Or was he in possession of other FICNs which he has destroyed? So what has been destroyed by Kalu Mama?
The council plead ignorance. The council pleads ignorance, Your Honor.
Have you understood the question?
Yeah, indeed, Your Honor.
Yes. So which one of you is going to answer? Speaker 1 or speaker 2?
Speaker 2.
Speaker 2. Okay, we are waiting. Court Master, are you keeping a note of the time? Because I believe the 30 minutes are about to be over.
Yes, sir. I'm just about to say, like, time is over.
Okay. Do you want more time? If you have an answer, we are willing to give you 5 more minutes.
Your Honor, can we reply it after a while?
All right. You can reply it in the rebuttal. Let us see what the defense team has to say.
Much obliged.
Sir, in defense team, speaker 1 has allotted 15 minutes and speaker 2 has allotted 15 minutes respectively.
Okay.
Your Honor, the council seeks permission to proceed with the facts.
You may proceed.
Yes, Your Honor. So, according to the tip given by Kuttu Singh to the PS Special Police Officer on on 25 February 2015, there were two suspects who were traveling from Farakka Express train number 13413 from platform number 5 from Old Delhi railway station. And according to the team, the Delhi police arrived and raided the train, and they found the two bags, which one of them was black in color and one was brown in color. In both the bags, there were 2000 rupees notes, which were of high quality fake currency. And after the seizures were done, they were immediately arrested. Afterwards, they were immediately arrested and an FIR was registered under Section 120B, 489B, and 489C of IPC. During the investigation, fake currencies were taken to the CFSL at CBI, the New Delhi police, and they were checked, and they were again, uh, and in the report, it was intended as an highly qualified fake currency. And afterwards, further in investigation, Samir accused Samir and accused Monu. They stated that this fake currency they received uh, from another person named Kalu Mama, who is accused number 3. They also stated that Kalu Mama was the one who gave them the fake currency. Also, he was also receiving instructions from Pakistan and Bangladesh. Further, they also notified to NIA that in the further investigation that these fake currencies were received, and also they were told them to travel with those bags to Pulwama and gave it to accused 4, that is Peter, and then the plan will be proceeded. After in also further investigation, they also stated that Kalu Mama was known with the fact that there will be a bomb blast, and code word is दुल्हन को सजाने का वक्त आ गया. Also in seizures, evidences were collected from Samir and Mono, and they were 2 SIM cards, 1 mobile phone, and some cash. Other than that, there were call records which were handed. Sorry. Other than that, there were call records, and in which it was clearly stated that Samir, Mono, Kalu Mama, and Peter, they all were in contact with each other from their prescribed locations. On 27th May, NIA on 27th May 2015, NIA investigators reached Peter's house and searched and did the seizures according to it, and they found that Peter is admitted to SK Hospital for the treatment, SK Hospital of Rajasthan, for poisoning himself, and the treatment is going on. And with that, they also got to know that on 22nd June, accused Peter died. In that, from this, Kalu Mama house was also searched, and from him, 3 mobile phones and micro SD cards and one receipt, and one phone empty box was also founded in the seizures. But in that, they also studied with the CDR records, and in that, the Oppo phone of Kalu Mama, which telephonic calls were made to Samir and Monu. According to Exhibit 7, Samir and Monu gave this statement as they were unknown with the facts that they were carrying highly quality fake currencies to Pulwama, and they were going to give it to Peter. They were only told to them to travel with them by Kalu Mama. And also, when the police arrived and they were going to be arrested, the they were going to be arrested, they fell afraid, and one of them, Samir, felt unconscious. Other than that, of Kalu Mama was also known with the fact that he did it. The council seeks permission to proceed with the issues.
Please proceed.
Issue number 1, whether Samir and Monu can be charged under Section 120B, 489B, and 489C of IPC. It is humbly submitted before the Honorable Court that accused A1, that is Samir, Samir and Monu, cannot be guilty under Section 120B, 489B, and 489C of IPC, as Section 120A clearly states that criminal conspiracy, where 2 or more persons should be agree to do some act which should be an illegal act, and they should be known with the fact that they are doing it. Section 120B clearly states about the punishment, which states about that there should be a punishment of 6 months and fine or both. Section 489B clearly states as using a genuine false and counterfeiting currency notes or bank notes. Section 489C clearly states that possession of false or counterfeit currency notes or bank notes. According to the facts, Exhibit 7, Samir and Monu were unknown with the fact that they are carrying highly quality fake currency notes from the brown bag and the black bag. They were told so from Kalu Mama. They were told so to carry those bags to Pulwama and send it to Peter so that they can proceed with it. They were unknown with the fact that they are carrying fake currency notes, and also with this it clearly states that they were unknown with the facts and there were no intentions to travel those bags of highly fake currency notes to Pulwama. As stated under para of 176 and 77, with many of those articles of extra cash was they were also traveling with. As the seizures were done by the police officers, with the seizures, they found an evidence of 2 mobile phones, 2 SIM cards, and extra cash they were carrying. So they didn't also use those They didn't also use of highly fake currency cash. Also, the defense pleads before the Honorable Court to consider Section 25 of the Indian Evidence Act, which clearly states that confession to police officer not to be proved, that no man should be bound to accuse himself. And Article 23 of Constitution of Act, which is a clear protection, to the available accused. Further, I will refer to the case law Uma Shankar versus State of Chhattisgarh, which is relatable to Section 489B, 489C of IPC, in which the leave was granted as there were no specific evidences given to the court. In R.V. Murugan Ramasa also, it is also a high Supreme Court judgment in which Section 25 of Indian Evidence Act is stated that there were also no specific evidence were given, and then the accused shall be proved with clear evidence. Y.R. Ramesh versus State of Telangana, in this also judgment, evidence Section 25 also plays a big role, as no specific evidences were given no specific evidences were given, and admissibility for confessional statements made to police officer is twofold: to protect the person accused of a crime of a third-degree treatment and ensure a proper and scientific investigations of the crime with a view to bring a real culprit to the book. In Shabir Sheikh versus the state of Madhya Pradesh, there was a lack of evidences for the to state Satish Chandra. In this, Supreme Court had a wide interpretation about that there should be a court testimony according to Article 20, Clause 3 of Constitution of India. Hence, I plead to the court that defense side should be bailed and we deny all the charges of Section 120B, 489B, and 489C. If the bench is satisfied with the argument number 1, shall I proceed with the issue number 2?
With regard to confession, I have a question to ask.
Yes.
Can you explain if there was any recovery in persons to the confession or not?
Pardon, Your Lordship.
You are saying that the confession was obtained by the police from
Yes.
the accused persons and that the confession should not be treated as admissible in evidence. But my question is that whether any recovery has been effected in persons to the confession or not. Because if recovery has been effected, then that part of evidence would be admissible. So So can you explain whether any recovery was effected from the accused in persons to the confession?
Your lordship,
Basically the fake Indian currency notes were recovered.
yes,
So
your
were they
lordship.
recovered before confession or after confession?
They were recovered before confession.
धीरज जी आप कुछ पूछना चाहेंगे इसमें?
Yes, Mr. Counsel from the defense. My question is that what is your defense about the possession of counterfeit coin?
Yes, your lordship.
If you are found,
Lordship, they were unknown with the facts that they were carrying the fake currency, high quality notes. They were unknown with the facts, and there were no intentions involved in there to carry those to the Pulwama.
intention. My question is, what is your defense about the possession of counterfeit coin, currency notes? Who will be liable for this? Which was found in your possession?
Yes, your lordship, the high currency fake notes were found in possession of Samir and Monu, but they were also given to them by Kalu Mama, which is accused number 3, and they were unknown with the fact that they were carrying it.
What is your defense about this fact that you, Samir, and some other person was consistently contact with Kalu Mama through call detail report?
Pardon, your lordship.
Nexus between Samir and one more accused from whom possession counterfeit currency note has been recovered and Kalu Mama.
Kalu Mama, the accused Samir and Monu were constantly in contact with Kalu Mama, was also introduced by Iqbal Khan, and afterwards they become the close. Now afterwards, after that only, they were Kalu Mama instructed them to carry those bags to Pulwama to Peter.
That means you considered about this fact. You has been influenced by Kalu Mama. Yes. Give me answer from either a speaker 1 and a speaker 2. Yes, further proceed. Proceed your defense.
The second speaker may proceed now.
The council may seeks permission to proceed with the issue number 2.
Yes,
Issue
please.
number 3. Issue number 3. It is humbly submitted that before the Honorable Court that the accused number 1, 2, and 3 is not guilty of committing under section 16, 17, 18, and 20, as accused 1 and 2 had not committed the crime. and not being member of terrorist gang or organization, as they are not aware of carrying a fake currency notes. As a section in as mentioned in the section 16, if such act has resulted in the death of any person, be punishable with death or imprisonment for life, and shall also be liable for fine for a terms which shall be less than 5 years, but which may extend to imprisonment for life. According to accused number 1 and 2, they are mentioned in the exhibit 7 that they are not aware of carrying a fake currency notes. Samir is a driver by profession. Yeah, when he was 10 years old, his father and mother was in a road accident, and from then onwards he has been brought to Chunnilal, father of Monu. He stayed till 2011, and then Samir and Monu started searching for work. There, then I then Samir came to know about the propaganda of government of suppressing the oppressed class of the society. After attending the annual conference, Samir got a clear vision of government hiding agenda behind imposing sanction on poor class. Government wanted to devote youth in different religion and caste. Samir and Monu were afraid of losing each other, and that government could continue with their double standard policies of befooling the oppressed class. The, then one day, Samir made Kalu Mama, a good friend of Iqbal Khan, introduced to him for area of completing the project. Kalu Mama stated spending time together more often within a span of few months. Then one day, Kalu Mama told about one project in which he need to carry a bag from one place to another and handed it over to Peter. Samir and Monu didn't know that in bag we were carrying a fake currency notes. As as it as it mentioned as it mentioned in the section 16, it is not a terrorist act, and under section 17, punishment for raising funds for terrorist act. Whoever in India or in a foreign country directly or indirectly raise or provide funds or collect funds, whether from a legitimate or illegitimate source, or any person to attempt to provide, to raise or collect funds from any person or person, knowing that such funds are likely to be used in full or in part by such person or by a terrorist organization or by a terrorist gang or by an individual terrorist to commit a terrorist act, notwithstanding whether such funds were actually used or not, for commission of such act shall be punishable with imprisonment a for a term which shall not less than 5 years. Explanation: participating organization or directing in any of the acts stand therein shall constitute an offense. As As it submitted before the Honorable Court, the accused are not belonging to a terrorist act as they are not belong to any individual or organization as compared to statement given under Section 161 CRPC. A1 mentioned one day A3 told us about one project which we need to carry a bag from one place to another and hand it over to the Peter. That means A1 and A2 didn't know about the fake currency note which they are carrying, and it is humbly submitted before the Honorable Court. A3 is a union leader of the factory or where an organization working for the upliftment. I, accused 3 Accused 3 have known Peter and Sohail from last 6 years rallies of this organization. In the very same, the organization went through a turbulent phase where the organization used stringent policies to put sanction upon the working of the organization. Soon, soon they realized that the sanction was a result of propaganda started by the government, devote the youth and religions. As Sohail we discussed the government hidden agenda behind suppressing the voice of the oppressed. Sohail was no moved that he came to me and volunteered to be a part of the project and raising funds and sanitizing people against the malpractice of the government. As mentioned in the accused accused 3, they such sanction broke the fundamentals monetary support of the organization and we were unable to organize the funds for a plan. Fund. As referred to the case law, Sheikh Akram versus the National Investigation Agency, the Special Court number 2, 2013, on the file of the First Additional Metropolitan Session Judge, NIA Act, Hyderabad. The appellant in this criminal appeal they, along with 21 other accused, were prosecuted for the offence under Section 489B, 489C, 120B of the IPC, and Section 16 and 18 of the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act up to 2008 by the learned session judge. They were in possession of the FIC notes as a part of larger conspiracy through the charge of conspiracy could not be proved by the prosecution because of the failure of the proof of electronic evidence such as interpretation of telephonic conversation in terms of section 65A of the Indian Evidence Acts. Section 65A, the special provision as to evidence relating to the electronic record. The content of electronic record may be proved in accordance with the provision of Section 65B, which tells that the conditions refer to the computer output shall be following, namely, the computer output containing the information was produced by the computer during the period over which the computer was used to regularly to store or process information for the purpose of any activities regularly carried on over the period by the person having unlawful control over the use of the computer. The information contained in the electronic record reproduces or is derived from such information fed into the computer in the ordinary course of the said activities. As mentioned in the electronic evidence, there in a in electronic evidence they have only call records, call details record of the accused A1, A2, and A3. They don't have any recording audio, any dialogues which is mentioned in the prop. Therefore, on the basis of mere debut, all the charges are put. A1, A2, and A3 are not liable under this section 16, 17, 18, and 20 of Unlawful Activities Act. The council may seek permission to proceed with the issue 4.
Yes, proceed.
The issue 4 is whether the accused A1, A2, A3 are guilty of waging war against the state or not. The accused is not guilty of waging war under section 121 and 123 of IPC, as they had not committed an act intentionally, as both A1, A2, and A3 has not waged war against India under section 161 CRPC clearly states. Hence, the guilty of waging war under section 121, 123 of IPC, not against the accused. As mentioned in the 121 of IPC, it can be said that section 121 is an uncommon provision because it punishes the act, it attempts, and it abets all under this very provision. The section says that whoever wage war against the government of India or attempts to abet the waging of such war shall be punished with death or imprisonment of life. The the case law is uh, refer to the case law page number 25, Barida Kumar Ghosh versus uh, Emperor. It states it is provided that under section council seeks permission to for extra time.
You can have 5 minutes.
Much obliged. The appellate Ashok Chandra Nandi, having died since the in Baridra Kumar Ghosh and others versus Emperor on 25th November 1909. The appellate Ashok Chandra Nandi have died since the institution of this appeal. There are present before the court 18 appellants, all of whom have been convicted under section chapter 6 of IPC, the offense against the state, in order to determine said the learned judge whether the statement is confession of guilt or a admission of a criminating circumstance. We must look to the statement itself. Here, the statement of the accused are merely at the box belong to him. It was no admission whatever of any criminating circumstances. It is to be noticed for that it is worth that in later document the local government expressly mentioned under section 121 that sworn statement with a follow to the local government order is districtly said to the complainant that sanction had been given to the complainant by the government of Bengal prosecute of certain person under section 121A, 122, 123, 124 of IPC, that no suggestion is made by the authority to prosecute under section 121. Second case law may refer to the page number 25, Emperor versus Punjabi Lalji. When a person who was sentenced to imprisonment by an order under section 123 is default of furnishing security while undergoing such sentence of imprisonment for an offence committed prior to the making of such order, the latter sentence shall commence immediately. It is argued that the express mentioned in the imprisonment of order under section 123 suggests that imprisonment by an order under section 123 is not included in the terms imprisonment used in the earlier part of section. Looking forward to the A1 and A2 accordingly to the defense statement under Exhibit 7, which states that one accused 1 and 2 in the plan, and also they won't they want knowing our fake currency note they were carrying into their bags. So that clarifies that they were not waging war against the state. Does accused number 1, 2 and 3 does not have any intention towards waging war, and they should they shouldn't be liable under the section 121 and 123. The council may seek permission to proceed with the prayer.
Please make your prayer.
Prayer in view of what is said above. It is humbly submitted that the Honorable Court kindly accused number 1, 2 and 3 is not liable under section 120B. Second, accused A1, A2 and A3 is
Finish it. Finish it. Don't look
is
at the
li-
time over.
is liable under section 489 BC 121 123 201 of IPC, under section 16, 17, 18 and 20 of Unlawful Activities Prevention Act. Defense side will deny all the charges and request court for immediate bail.
धीरज जी आप कुछ पूछेंगे? कोई
No,
क्वेश्चंस?
no.
मैं इसमें ये पूछना चाहूंगा आपसे, what is the effect of the death of Peter and non-arrest of Sohail?
Death of Peter is a suicide. He has taken a poison itself and he is admitted in hospital, and after that at 20
No, I am not asking about cause of death. I am asking what would be the effect of death of Peter. Can the conspiracy still be proved? Conspiracy to wage war against the state.
no, my lord,
Why not?
because death of Peter is suddenly happened. There
Who were the
that
conspirators to wage war against the state? You tell me the names of the persons who were the conspirators to wage war against the state.
accused A1 and A2 are not a conspirators because they didn't know they are carrying a fake currency note.
So tell me, who will conspire with
Number
whom
one
then?
and two.
Kalu, with whom will he conspire if he is alone? A conspiracy requires two persons at the least. Who will Kalu conspire with?
He conspire with Sohail, but their intention is not their intention is not for waging war against government, but they won't unable to organize the funds for a plan.
So 10 lakhs fake Indian currency notes were arranged. Is this not conspiracy to destabilize the government by infusing fake currency notes? If you are destabilizing the economy of a country by introducing fake notes, is that not waging war against the state?
Your Lordship, I plead my ignorance.
All right. Let the prosecution revert to the questions which were raised.
Your Honor, coming to the question raised that whether Kalu Mama was merely accused or was he really guilty? Your Honor, Counsel would like to mention that during the investigation, some of the statements were given by Kalu Mama voluntarily, but not by any police compulsion or coercion. Like as per clause 17.25, here it has been mentioned that during the examination in police custody, Kalu Mama himself revealed that he had received fake Indian currency notes from accused Sohail on several occasions in past for further sale and transactions. Further, he also revealed that Sohail was main conspirator and he was in contact with Lashkar-e-Taiba. Coming to the point number 17.31, uh, he has also mentioned that he made telephonic contact to Monu when the deal wasn't materialized. That the deal that he also offered that this time, if the that they have to smuggle 10 lakh denominations further. And as per the disclosure of Kalu Mama, he collected FICN worth 10 lakh from Sohail for sending it to Pulwama. Further, coming to 17.32, Kalu Mama's mobile phone CDR has also reflected the connection between Kalu Mama, Peter, and Sohail. Counsel is if the Your Honor is satisfied with the answer.
No, tell me what is the value of the confessional statement of Kalu Mama?
He himself has confessed that he has
The
been in
defense
contact
argues
with.
that it was obtained by police under coercion. So what is the evidentiary value of confession of Kalu Mama? You have not recovered anything in persons to this statement. No part of his confession is admissible in evidence. The only other evidence against Kalu Mama is confession of the other co-accused persons. What if the accused number 1 and 2 are falsely implicating Kalu Mama to shift the blame.
But Kalu Mama himself has revealed that he has been part of a criminal conspiracy.
That is where the question arises. Is this evidence admissible or not?
What is difference between section 25 and 27 of Indian Evidence Act? What is basic difference?
The section 27 carves out an exception to the general rule which is contained in section 25. Section 27 says that if anything is recovered in pursuance to the statement, then that part of the evidence of the accused would become admissible. So in this case, have you been able to use the exception to bring home the guilt against accused persons? You have not recovered anything from accused number 1 and 2 in pursuance to any confession that they made. The recoveries were made prior to the confessional statement. And there is no recovery or no evidence collected after the confessional statement of Kalu Mama. So how, apart from the fact that fake Indian currency notes were recovered from possession of accused number 1 and 2, it seems that there is no other evidence. Except for recovery, there seems to be no other evidence.
Counsel seeks pardon.
All right. Dheeraj ji,
Yes, maybe concluded.
ठीक है. Courtmaster, let the proceedings be concluded and the meeting ended.
Thank you, participants and the jury judges for joining this competition. I would like to request the participants to leave the meeting and request the judges to stay on this.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
First of all, thank you, judges, for joining with us. And सर आप ना हमें ये मार्किंग जो है वो आप भेज दीजिएगा व्हाट्सएप पे या फिर रेस्पेक्टेड ईमेल.
We will send it by WhatsApp. Are we allowed to write the name of the team like TC 555 for the purpose of clarity?
Yes, you can. Otherwise, you can just write prosecution and defense. I have write it.
That is
down
already
on my
written
book.
on the. All right, we'll send it by WhatsApp.
Sir, please send it as early as possible.
We are doing it right now. I have already marked. I believe Dheeraj ji must have also marked.
Okay. Yes.
Okay, sir. Thank you very
Okay,
much.
we'll send it to the same number. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.